What is up, social studies family? Welcome back to the vlog. Welcome to the end of chapter 3. So we are going to get ready to finish up what we were talking about last time. We were talking about the Civil War. And last time we talked about the big picture, all a country. This time we're going to start to focus in a little bit. We're going to go from the big picture down to what Indiana did and the people of Indiana, how they contributed to the Civil War. So we're going to start, again, big picture, and then focus our way slowly down. So remember that soon as Lincoln was elected, the southern states wanted to secede. They tried to leave the Union. Lincoln said no, and war broke out. So as the war began, we had the North versus the South, or the Union versus the Confederates. The Union was the states that decided to stay together. The Confederates were the ones that tried to leave. And the Union had all the advantages. They had more people, they had more factories, they had a larger army. But the one thing that they did not have, well, two things actually. Well, the two things they did not have is, one, they had to fight all the battles in the South. So they had to travel really far, which meant all their supplies and all the men had to walk really far, and most of the Southerners just kind of were fighting in their own lands. They knew it really well. They knew where to hide, where to get food, and that made it a lot harder. The second thing that they had is the South was very, very determined to leave. A lot of the Unions were kind of volunteered, but also told they had to join, where the South were fighting for their homeland. So war breaks out. The president calls for 75,000 volunteers to fight for the Union. Hoosiers remained loyal to the Union, or they were in the North, and a lot of volunteers joined Lincoln's army. It says here, within 2 weeks, war began, and 12,000 Indiana men volunteered and formed a regiment. And a regiment is just like a military group. They made 6 regiments. So there's 2,000 people in a regiment. And that is how it started. Important battles in the Civil War. So the Civil War, everyone thought was going to be just like a really quick thing, maybe like a year or two, and it wouldn't take a lot of men or battles or supplies. But it actually spread across 23 states. Remember, there weren't even that many states at the time. And there were as many as 10,000 little mini battles fought through the whole Civil War, which leads to the next point is this thing ended up being a long time. A lot of people say it was long and costly, which meant that it cost a lot of money, it cost human lives, and it was terrible to begin with. As they were going through the Civil War, we're starting to focus down now as we come in. Oops, I turned to the wrong page, Mr. B. All right. So they started fighting a lot of these battles, and it was kind of a back and forth. The North would win some, the South would win some. And really, the North had to win. The South just had to stay alive, and that would be like a victory for them. Things started to get a lot harder for the Union Army. So they even passed a law, which is great, and that says that it allowed African Americans to serve in the army. The Southerners were aghast at this. They couldn't even believe that they would fight. So there was groups of in the army. It was still separated, but there was groups that were all African American units that fought to help earn the freedom for other African Americans. So it was back and forth. One of the biggest battles and the turning point of the war was Gettysburg. And this was fought over 3 days. I've actually been there. It's really cool if you ever get to go there. It was fought over 3 days, and it was a huge, huge win for the Union. And it was the start of the fall for the South. And that's when things started to go well for the Union, and it looked like there might be a victory. How did Indiana help in this? Well, Indiana supplied tons and tons of men and ammunition and supplies. We're going to talk about those here in a little bit. But believe it or not, in all of Indiana, there's only one battle in Indiana for the Civil War. It was in Corydon, And about 450 members of the Indiana Legion or region fought 2,400 men, and they actually lost that battle, but they were able to retreat back into the town and hold them off. But that was the only battle that was fought in Indiana. Most of it was way down in the south, like I said, so the Union had to travel really far. So a lot of Indiana men left for the army, and this kind of left what we call the home front, is what was happening at home. And women, go women, stepped up and did almost all the jobs that men were doing. They had to work at the house, they had to work the farms, they had to work in the factories. They turned their social clubs into groups that helped for sewing clothes. They made ammunition. They even worked at the armory. They worked as nurses. They did all of these things that they had to pick up the slack because the men had left. And they played a really, really, really crucial part in the defeat of the South. So all those things helped the Union win. The Indiana men going there and all the women stepping up to fill in those roles. And by 1865, and remember the war started in 1861, so 4 pretty bloody years of war, the Confederacy was finally hopelessly outnumbered and outgunned, and they were running low on supplies, and they surrendered. So General Lee surrendered to Grant, and they met at the Virginia in Appomattox. The courthouse actually was there too. It's pretty cool. And when the war ended, they had to start reuniting the country. But the cost of war was really, really high. About 600,000 Americans from the North and South died. Not even like that's how many fought in the war. That's how many died. Almost 200,000 Hoosiers fought in the war. They went to go fight. 200,000 people. And 25,000 of them passed away. Remember, the population wasn't nearly as big as it was then. That was a huge percentage of the population for Indiana. So we really helped out. So the war is over, and now we need to reunite the states. So Abraham Lincoln has this big, huge plan to reunite the states, to reunite the North and South, to make them friends and work together again and be one country. But unfortunately he was, and I'm sure most of you know, he was shot and killed before he had the chance to do this. And he's considered one of the greatest presidents in all of our country because not only did he free the slaves, which is the biggest thing, but he also kept the country together, and he made us what we are today. So that is the part that Indiana played in the Civil War, and that is going to be the end of Chapter 3. The next time you see me, I'm going to be talking about the Chapter 3 just kind of like questionnaire and review and quiz to see what you remember from it. Make sure to do today's assignment, and I will get ready to see you in the next vlog.